This man is very rude though. Look at the way he spoke about FCT Minister Wike. He said he has to use more than a dozen microphones to defend the lie he said without microphone. This one loud though. Just listen to the way he said it.
You have to use more than a dozen microphones to deny what you said without a microphone, then you've got a big problem. And I think that I can't agree anymore with, I think it was Otumba Shegun Shomi who said on TV, I believe yesterday or something, that President Tinubu has got a Wike problem. And I hope that he will take a careful look at what is going on and how this minister is conducting himself repeatedly. You recall that one of the former ministers of the Federal Republic, your good friend, the Minister of Women Affairs at the time, also behaved in a similar thing. Heard that something was going on without her knowledge from her ministry, and then she rushed down there. You know, this idea that the authority of the office resides in your personality in government, it is wrong. It is quite wrong, and I think that that's the nonsense that drove Wike to imagine, after he had been advised by his colleagues in cabinets, by people that he spoke to, and then by his own staff, that this is what we encounter. You know, I believe that common sense would have prevailed to say, let me speak with his bosses and then use processes and procedure to deal with the issue, but not to go like a gangster, guns blazing almost, you know, with all your police officers and everything, and then thinking that you can bulldoze your way against military officers. I do not, of course, support the idea that seems that the military, one way or the other, whether they're in service or retired, cannot subject themselves to the rule of law, yes, or to being scrutinized or to being challenged. And I hope that the opportunity will present itself for Wike, you know, to do the proper thing. But then this idea of behaving in a manner that is unbecoming of a minister, definitely unbecoming of a governor, you know, when he was governor, I think it has to stop. And it is left to President Tinubu, you know, to take a look at it. When you have people who have spent more than 24 years in government, there's a time that they get to that they think that they have become the state or they have become the authority themselves. Wike should watch it.
It's very unfortunate. It seems that we're going to be forced to come to the conclusion over and over again that the Minister of the FCT, Nyesom Wike, is not fully capable of comporting himself in a way that is dignifying for a man in his actual position. Now, what we saw on Thursday and even what we saw in his press conference is a bit of the show that we are used to when it comes to Wike. Now, if we go back to, you know, the actions in when it comes to the disputed land in Abuja, when you see someone who's a leader, you expect them to carry themselves with a certain level of decorum. You know, I remember as a child, I was told that you cannot demand respect. You command respect by way of how you carry yourself, by way of how you treat others and how you speak to others. It is abhorrent and a shame and honestly embarrassing to see a member of the government speak to a member of our armed forces, people who give life and limb to protect us and serve this country, speak to him in such a degrading and insulting manner. You know, before we go to the legality of who was right, whether it's Nyesom Wike, as he is empowered under the Land Rights Act, the Land Use Act, rather, Section 57, to go and investigate land. As the Minister of the FCT, he is empowered to do that. But also, we also have our Armed Forces Act, and the Lieutenant Yerima is also empowered to follow orders that are dutifully given. Whether those orders were right or not is things that should be litigated, is things that should be handled up of his chain of command. And we've been told by Matawale, the other minister, who said that Nyesom Wike had spoken to the CDS and he was told to, you know, that this situation would be handled, but he still went to the site. And not only did he go to the site, he went with bulldozers, with his team, with armed policemen, and with the media to show to continue his show. You know, if he's not carrying a band, he's carrying himself as the main singer, as the main act here. And when we talk about these things, so honestly, for me, I was juxtaposing it. It seems that what we have here is possibly a lot of bad behavior going around. But as a representative of the president, as a representative of the chief of staff, as a representative of the government, Wike's comportment was truly embarrassing. And for him to now have to come back and say, oh, I didn't mean he was a fool. What I was trying to say is this, is really unbecoming for a member of Tinubu's cabinet. And I look back because we're going to talk to Mary Chinda later about the PDP, and people often talk about the PDP crisis and how Atiku Abubakar did not make Nyesom Wike his vice president, vice presidential, or running mate rather. And when we look at how he carries himself as the minister of the FCT, we understand why. And beyond us just thinking about this land issue, because land issue in FCT has been a topic that comes up over and over again, particularly under Nyesom Wike, we must also think about how the FCT is being run. You drive from Maitama to Asokoro, you don't see streetlights working until you get to Asokoro, where some of the ministers live. You walk around, you see trash not being collected on the side of the road. The green areas are disappearing. And if Abuja gets smelly...
And what about the cows?
And
everywhere.
the cows, yes. But
Everywhere.
even these functions, the cows, at least that one I'm even used to from
Everywhere.
before. But if the trash is littered on the streets, the trees are being excavated, when Abuja now gets hot and smelly, we're going to act like it's a natural occurrence, like we did not see it coming down the line. If someone's doing projects and carrying a band to pave roads, but they don't put street lights on those roads, are we being serious as a nation?
Well, not again saying much. The excesses of Wike was obviously so much. Yes, the reaction of Mr. Wike, the FCT minister, was obviously on the high side. The actions was not just dignifying at all. And then him coming out to lie that he never said such, he never called the man names, he never called him a fool or some stuff like that, just like the first man rightly said. He said using more than a dozen microphones to defend, to deny the lies you said without microphone. This is so huge, like seriously. Yeah, FCT minister has obviously, made such those comments. He said, in fact, he said to the military officer, he said, you are a big fool. Yes, and those words that were coming out from a minister of the FCT was really not dignifying. It wasn't expected of him. And then everyone is actually expecting that the FCT minister, Wike, should come out and apologize. And so not just to the president of the federation, but also to the entire citizens here, to the military, the armed forces, and to everyone. You just have to, the way he used those dozens of microphones to deny and to defend himself, he'll also need to use those mics to come out boldly with his full chest to apologize to everyone. The truth being said here, the FCT minister Nyesom Wike overreacted. Yes, those words were really not what he was supposed to. At the end of the day, you find out that he left the same. He was ordered to leave the same, and of which he obeyed. He left the same, and then so the FCT minister owes everyone a public apology. He needs to come out and then just so that he can maintain his dignity, his respect, and all of that. Then talking about the Abuja maintenance and all, yes, if you go to some areas, we used to be where the street lights are all gone off, it's not being maintained, and going to the airport road, the airport where normally before now the street lights are always, it comes up once it is 6 p.m. and these days we find out that those lights doesn't come up anymore. We don't know what's wrong with the lighting system and all that. So putting up infrastructure without maintaining the ones on ground, it's really not a very good one. So FCT minister has a lot of work to do by looking inwards and then trying to maintain what we have on ground. And then I think that the president also need to bring him, somebody need to talk to him and then bring him on his toes just so that he can do the needful.